That's some pretty big news to get to right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. Okay, so a couple weeks after free agency started, a couple of dominoes fall. The Giants not only getting Jameis Winston a few days ago, now they have Russell Wilson, a deal that could be worth a little over $20 million. I think $10.5 million guaranteed for Russell Wilson. And the Patriots signing Stefon Diggs, 31 years old, coming off a torn ACL. So, yeah, Jamie, let's start with the Giants. They've got two quarterbacks now. They could take another in the draft. What does this mean for Malik Nabers?
I think it's certainly a positive for Malik Nabers, given what he was able to accomplish with the terrible quarterbacks that he had last year. To average over 17 PPR points per game with Drew Lock and Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito and Tim Boyle, and just having some, awful quarterback play. Now you have a borderline Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson, and a guy that if he were to get a chance to start in Jameis Winston, I mean, we were talking about, Nabers as maybe a top 5 overall pick, not just top 5 wide receiver. But with Russ, look, he's gotten some solid years out of DK Metcalf, which happened to be his second year, was his best year in the league. Obviously, Nabers going into year 2. Tyler Lockett had good seasons with him. Doug Baldwin had a couple of good seasons with him. Cortland Sutton had a 10-touchdown season. And even last year, you had George Pickens, 4 of 6 games north of 16 PPR points. So he's going to get good numbers. It's just a matter of, how many targets, how those numbers will come. Wilson will challenge down the field more than any of the quarterbacks the Giants had last year and do it with a lot more success. But he's going to be 37 in November. In terms of Russ, is the skill set still going to be there for him? Was certainly struggling down the stretch last season after getting off to a good start in Pittsburgh. If the offensive line holds up, I think Malik Nabers will be fine. So again, sort of the sliding scale, 7-8 range was where I had Nabers before Jameis Winston. 4-5 was where he moved up to, and now back to that 7-8 range. So back end of the first round is still on the table for Nabers, and it really doesn't move the needle very much for me for Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton. No, these are late round flyers at best.
Yeah, I think I started with Nabers behind Brian Thomas Jr. Probably would have moved him ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. if I thought Winston was going to start for a significant chunk of the season. But now I got to take Brian Thomas Jr. again.
Interesting.
I talked about this on the show that we just did. Russell Wilson just doesn't throw that much for whatever reason. No one like isn't it weird that Sean Payton let Bo Nix as a rookie throw 2 to 3 more passes per game than veteran Russell Wilson? He just doesn't throw that much because he takes a lot of sacks, as Dan mentioned. All right, Nabers was the number 8 wide receiver per game in full PPR last year, number 14 per game in non-PPR. Pretty big difference there. With Wilson, I wouldn't be surprised if he were better in non or half PPR than full PPR, but we'll see.
He has, let's see, we'll do the math. 2 seasons for DK Metcalf, I think 1 for Lockett, 2 for Baldwin, definitely 1 for Baldwin, 1 for Sutton. So at least 5 seasons of receiver catching 10 plus touchdowns.
That's pretty awesome. And he also has a couple of seasons where Russell Wilson has given us 2 very good receivers, right? So that's one of the reasons why we've never seen a true, an unbelievable year from a receiver. The closest thing was Metcalf in 2021 or 2020. But that year, Tyler Lockett was also a top 12 receiver with 100 catches and 10 touchdowns on 132 targets. So, those days are done for Wilson. I mean, he used to be unbelievable. But we'll see what we can get from him with the Giants. All right. By the way, I did not ask you this. What do you think this means for Tyrone Tracy, if anything?
I don't think anything changes. I would be very surprised if the Giants don't bring in another running back to, sort of add some competition to the room. If they stay with Tracy and Singletary as the top 2 guys and sort of backfill with, a special teams, caliber player or more of a, fill in third down back type of guy, then Tracy is a number 2 running back. But just to tie in the full length episode, where you brought up where Tony Pollard was drafted, that round 6 range.
Yeah.
Low and number 2 running back. I think Tyrone Tracy is right in that range. Good spot for him if that's where he's going.
Quick break on FFT Express. We'll talk about the Patriots with Stefon Diggs after this. All right, let's talk about the Patriots with Stefon Diggs after that. You like it?
I don't mind it. I don't think anybody should be overexcited about it. And I think you said it best. If he was not coming off the ACL tear, we're talking about a guy that could be maybe a top 30 caliber receiver on draft day, borderline number 2 receiver, depending on how you view the position. But knowing that he's going to be 32 in November, knowing that he's coming off an ACL tear, knowing that it's still a young quarterback that has, the ability, or on a team that has the ability to still add some wide receivers. For me, he's a low end number 3 receiver. So, not afraid to draft him as a high end reserve or, starter in a 3 receiver league, but I don't want to be overly optimistic. He had some good numbers last year with the Texans. Actually, one of his best games came against the Patriots. I believe it was week 6. Had one of his 3 touchdowns, with Houston. Scored 19 plus PPR points. So solid game against the team in their building. And again, opportunity is there to get a lot of targets. So whether they draft, let's say, Travis Hunter at 4, or whatever the sliding scale is of when they add to their receiving core, they're going to draft at least one more receiver, if not multiple, because the room is just not great. Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne, it's just a group that needed some help. And so opportunity is there for him to get a lot of targets. If he was 3 years younger and healthy, we'd be looking at this as maybe what happened to him when he went to Buffalo, that much upside. So Drake Maye benefits, Stefon Diggs, good landing spot, but don't overvalue it based on his name.
Oh, wow. Let's see. I'm going to get you real excited here for Stefon Diggs. Give me 1 second. How's life, Jamie?
Life is good. In terms of Drake Maye, he was on pace to be 3rd in rushing yards for quarterbacks with a 17-game pace, over 600 rushing yards. So there's a lot to like about this now, getting some help at the receiving position.
Stefon Diggs has caught a touchdown in 5 straight games in Foxborough.
Wow.
Yeah, including a 3 touchdown game.
So we should pencil him in for 17 touchdowns. That's great.
I would say at least 20.
Well, no. He plays.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, the road games.
Yeah.
All right. I would say at least 10 in the home games.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Yeah, Drake Maye, I got to look up this stat, but he had one of the highest yards per carry ever for a rookie quarterback. Maybe just for a quarterback. I forget what it was. It was outrageous, but he was on pace for over 600 rushing yards in his healthy starts. Yeah, I'm excited about Drake Maye. It's kind of one of those things where I'm excited about so many quarterbacks.
Yes.
That I don't know how I get Drake Maye on my teams, but
I want to have like if I don't get one of the top 6 or 7 guys, like I want to draft like a Justin Fields Drake Maye combo, Drake Maye Bo Nix combo, Tua and Justin Fields, something like that, where there's just a lot of upside and hopefully both hit, but you get one of these guys that run and can improve as a passer, like for Maye, for example. Actually moved Justin Fields into my top 12.
Justin Fields in your top 12, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. All right, Drake Maye, he averaged, we'll end with this. Where's just rushing stats?
In his 10 healthy starts, he was 623 yards.
7.8 yards per carry. I think that's the 3rd best of all time. Because I'm looking at, I did a Google search. You ever been on StatMuse? This website is amazing. I just had like highest single season yards per carry by a quarterback in NFL history, and they basically came up with the list, except it doesn't include Drake Maye because maybe it's from last year. Michael Vick, 8.4, Randall Cunningham, 8.0, and then in theory, Drake Maye would slot in 3rd at 7.8. All right, we're out of here on Fantasy Football Today Express. Thanks to Jamie. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. Talk to you tomorrow.